We live in Chateau de Bourneau, which is French 19th century chateau built in the French Renaissance style. We're situated in Vendée, which is not very well known region in France, a bit of a secret garden of France, and it's a beautiful, beautiful sunshine-based country.
Though we're both scientists at the base, we're also kind of hapless romantics. We love history, culture of buildings and the history of France, and there are so many beautiful chateaux and manoirs that are just left to crumble. Like most of young 30-somethings, kind of wondered, what we could afford. And when we looked at the price of property in London, we were quite shocked.
Price of property in France is very different. So Paris is, as any capital city in the world, very expensive, but if you start stepping outside a little bit, you can come across real bargains. Chateaus turn out to be a bit of a bargain.
So perhaps we could live our dream and find that property that really speaks to us and inject life back into it and save it for the next generations to come. So that's sort of how that idea of moving to France and evolved into something bigger. And that if we created a business alongside, then perhaps we would have that income in order to save this building. This was actually built about 550 years ago, the original Chateau de Bourneau, by a lady who was called Jaquette de la Ramée, and she asked Louis XI, so Louis XI of France, who was the king at the time, permission to build a fortified chateau here. So it's really rich with history, and I quite like the fact that it's a kind of first feminist who built this castle. And then in the French Revolution, unfortunately, it went into ruin, while eventually it fell on a family called the Moller family. And the second son inherited the land here and the ruin and decided to build this beautiful chateau that you see today. It's surrounded by a moat. So we live on our own little island. It is a little bit unusual, I guess, our living arrangement.
Living in a chateau is extremely expensive. Although they might be cheap to buy at the moment, they require a lot of money just to look after them. On a daily basis, something will break, and it's quite complex and expensive to repair sometimes, being antiques. 100% of our income through our holiday cottages or wedding or events is at the moment reinjected in the maintenance of the chateau. So we are talking of just looking after the land, fixing leaks, replacing windows, anything. There's nothing glamorous about it. The minimum monthly spend would be 4,000 euros just on that. Otherwise, I think as much money as you can throw to those places, they will just absorb it quite easily.
Chateau costs can sometimes give us lots of surprises. One of our big loves is recycling and upcycling, and it brings me a lot of pleasure to see these old forgotten items having a new life here and helping us bring the chateau back to life and not ending up in landfill.
I've done everything myself in this room, including sanding and staining and varnishing the floors, finding all the pieces of furniture, which some of them were actually from the chateau originally as well, like the bedside tables, beautiful dressing table. So it's been a real joy to see these treasures sort of back in their rightful place. This piece of furniture was also something we found in the chateau attic. So this beautiful dressing table was another chateau find, and it was just abandoned in the attics here. I love upcycling, and this is a bed crown that I made from a French table. So it's really lovely to bring life back to old forgotten things.
It brings us a lot of pleasure when we have guests come stay. You say, oh wow, I really love that stool, or I love that chair, and it kind of gives me that little zing of pleasure because that chair was broken and had a missing leg and it was found abandoned, but actually it is 100 years old and there is value in these objects, and it is not in landfill. It's now part of a chateau, and it's just the two of us. We do everything ourselves here. And part of that's choice, because I think, although it is our job, there's also that very grey line between pleasure and work, which is actually the dream, really.